So again, thank you very much for joining in for the 22nd Gravitas WINS show. We have this every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. And some of you have been very regular. And thanks for all your support, because without you joining in, there's no point in me conducting these sessions. So I'm really, really glad and thankful to everyone joining in. What I would appreciate is if you can put yourself on mute. It will really help whenever I'm going to put all upon entry so that, yeah. Okay, so now I hope all of you can see my screen. Today we are going to talk about building flywheels for your success. So we are going to talk about flywheels. We are going to talk about our personal life and career, professional life, how we can build flywheels for our success. As I have repeatedly said, for me, success is not only one dimension. We cannot compartmentalize our life separately from our career and say, hey, I'm successful in my life, so I don't have to bother about my career. Or I'm successful in my career, I don't have to bother about my life. We have to be successful in everything, because some pain in one area is going to show up in the other area also. So it is absolutely important we think of it as a holistic manner and then build flywheels for success as a life as a whole, one component being career. Okay, now let's see what is a flywheel. Flywheel, I come from a village. I hope some of you would have seen this. All of the villages used to have a temple deity, and they will have a ratham, which is kind of pulled every year, once in a year, and sometimes more than a year. And this flywheel is the one that pulls this rath, and this flywheel is difficult to kind of rotate, to pull in the beginning, and you have to struggle. But once it starts moving, once it starts rotating, it stores the kinetic energy within that wheel. The momentum builds itself, and then it can run, rotate and rotate and rotate very quickly. And even a small force of pulling, it can compound, it can amplify, it can accelerate rotation of the wheel. So this flywheel as a metaphor is important to understand if you want to build success in life, because we need to see how we can stitch together some of the variables and the factors, so that probably we find it difficult initially to build that factors, but once that flywheel is built, can I amplify or accelerate or modify some features in that particular thing so that it is running faster and faster and faster for a smaller amount of energy that we exert. Okay, so that's what the flywheel is. Amazon popularized this flywheel. The flywheel has been existing for ages, but Amazon popularized this flywheel in the business context. Amazon's flywheel is, they started with wide selection. So the inner circle that you see here, the wide selection of products, that selection attracted a lot of customers, because customers came in and said, hey, there are many more products in that particular marketplace, at least at that particular point in time. That customer experience of having wide selection brought in a lot of traffic. What happens when there is a lot of traffic in a marketplace? Amazon can go to other merchants, other sellers, and say, hey, you know what? I have this marketplace. I'm getting 1 million traffic. So they want to be there. The sellers want to be in a marketplace where there are many footfalls, digital footfalls, if I could say that. So they bring in their products. When they bring in the products, there is more selection of products. That brings in more traffic. and the flywheel starts rotating and rotating and rotating. Now, because of this, the cost structure is low. The cost per product is very low to operate this particular digital flywheel. What happens when there is the cost structure is low? That cost structure is reflected in the prices, and it is even lower. When it is lower, again, more customer experience, more customer traffic. That traffic brings in even more sellers and the merchants to the platform. So this particular thing keeps on going as long as the underlying architecture of this flywheel is kept stable. Amazon can spin this flywheel forever and ever. And as you know, there are so many decades that it at least a decade it has been spinning this flywheel successfully and branching out into multiple different businesses. But this is where they started. So this is a flywheel concept in business. And as I told you, the flywheel has to have factors or variables which are stitched together. I can have, say, for example, a great process for, say, for example, building my resume or building my brand or being fit or having a successful or rather a happy life or happy family. But flywheel is about stitching together variables that are related so that one eventually leads to the other, and that leads to the other, and that feeds into the previous or the first variable that we are talking about. So it forms a positive loop, a feedback loop. So one leads to the other, and that leads to the other, and so on and so forth. As we saw in Amazon's case, the lower price brought in more customers brought in more sellers brought in even more reduction in the cost structure, which brought the price down. That price again brought more customers, and so on and so forth. So each of these variables are related to each other. They are all stitched together. Then that forms as a feedback loop, which builds momentum. One pushes the other, that pushes the other, and so on and so forth. When this momentum is built, even a smaller modification or incremental effort to spin one element even faster, that will have a larger impact on the flywheel. The flywheel become even more accelerating because of the amplification or acceleration of one factor or modification of that one factor. So that is important in flywheel. This particular concept you need to understand, it is not just individual silo processes that we are talking about, but the variables have to be fit together so that one leads to the other. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples, at least two examples. The first example that we will see, the question here is, can I build a personal flywheel? Okay, this business flywheel is okay, Amazon's flywheel is okay, but can I build a personal flywheel? That's the question. Almost a decade back, this is the first framework that I built without even knowing what a flywheel is. And let me explain this and let me see whether I can kind of translate and exhibit this in operation. It started with consumption, reading books, watching videos, attending webinars like this, or at that time, seminars, the physical seminars that I used to go. But it's all about consumption. And most people stop there. We all read books. We are happy to read the best of the best books. May not be 50 books in a year, but we are happy to read books, watch TED Talks, and attend some of the finest courses Udemy and Coursera and so many other things on LinkedIn. But we stop here. It has to lead to production. It has to lead to creation of a particular product asset from you. It could be a blog post. It could be a podcast. It could be a video series. It could be a comment on a LinkedIn article, or it could be a comment on a blog article, anything. that production is important. It could be a speech like this, but when this consumption leads to production, it has to lead to production, because when you are consuming, you think you understand, but when you are producing the article, you are more like a teacher. You are teaching somebody. You are deconstructing what you've learned and synthesize it with another article or another book, another webinar that you attended, and you synthesize it, and then you create an article. You create a LinkedIn post, you create a tweet, you create a video, you produce that. What happens when you put it out, let's say, for example, on LinkedIn or YouTube or somewhere? It's going to attract people. People are going to start engaging with it. They are going to like it. They are going to celebrate it. They are going to comment on it. When they comment on it, you will go and read what they have written, the comment. Now, they can say, yes, that's a great point. I agree with you. This is what it has to be. Or they could come in and say, you know what, Joseph, I agree with what you are saying, but probably you should also consider this particular viewpoint. So you get educated by your readers or by your the community. Or they could come in and say, okay, this is what you are saying is absolutely wrong. There's a different dimension to this particular problem that you are not appreciating. Again, you get educated by your community. So you read that becomes another consumption, that becomes another learning, and then you can go and write another article, and then this wheel starts spinning again and again. You can go and read about this on my blog. um, I have written about it. Again, as I said, this is one of the first frameworks that I built, and this is the first flywheel that I built even without knowing what a flywheel concept is. But this has served me extremely well. And if I would encourage you from this particular webinar, if you take away only one thing, it would be this: read books, watch webinars, attend webinars, watch some of the finest videos, but don't stop there. Take notes and share it on LinkedIn, share it on Twitter, share it on other social media sites. If you are good at writing, maybe LinkedIn. If you are good in illustration, maybe Instagram. You are good in audio, maybe podcast. If you are good in, say, for example, creating videos, maybe YouTube. Create something and put it out on the for the world to see. And I took one session called Learn to Learn. You can watch it as well. So where I talked about this in a little more detailed manner. Now let me see whether we can actually show this in action. But before that, do any of you have any questions so far on whatever that I have talked about? Do any of you have any questions? Is it all clear? Okay, so I'm assuming it's
Clear
all
so far,
clear to
Joseph.
all. Okay, so if it's all
Yeah,
clear,
just
what I'm going to ask you now, I want to put this into practice. I want to see how this works, and I want all of your cooperation, and I want you to exercise what I'm talking about, and we will see how this can be put into practice, and how this is useful, how this flywheel kind of works. Okay, so I'm going to show you this particular. I hope you can see this particular screen. What I want you to do, go to this particular website, this LinkedIn event page. Okay. I'm sharing it here. This is, yeah, to everyone. Go to this website and please enter the book that changed your thinking, or the book that you are reading, or the book that shifted your thinking, or the book that helped you in your career. Whatever it is, it could be a book, it could be a movie. Please go and enter that. I'm going to show it. I'm going to start this, and I would appreciate if you can follow along with me. So here, as you can see, the movie that shifted my thinking was Men of Honor. And I'm going to explain why it is, but I would want you to go to that particular thing, URL, and start putting in the book that shifted your thinking, or an article that helped you, or some of the sayings or the talk that you watched, somebody gave, that changed your shift in that caused a shift in your thinking, so on and so forth. It could be any of those things. Please put that in. So you have consumed that. You have consumed a blog article or a book or a video or a movie, and now you start producing it. You are going to come in and say, okay, just few lines. This is the book and this is what I have done, okay? And I want to finish with this. What other movies should I watch? Ended up with a question. It could be what other books are related to this particular topic if you are talking about leadership. Say, for example, Abhinav might be talking about agile principles. Maybe he can say what other books or articles that I should read. It could be any of those things. So put that in, and we will see how this works. Okay. So I would request all of you to go to this particular site, the URL. It's on LinkedIn. It's going to show up on your profile also. So it will help you as well. So please go there and then start putting in. It shows, and I'm going to write this, and we will see how it works, okay? So I would appreciate if Abhinav, Xavier, Ashwini, Rajneesh, all of you, if you go there and start writing whatever books or articles that helped you a lot, okay? It shows an underprivileged Black American helped or mentored by a white leader to become the best in the Navy. Leadership. So this is my piece. Okay, I have summarized it very small. I can go on writing about it, but this is what I'm going to post. And I hope others also have done this. Okay, has anyone else done it? Abhinav, Xavier, anyone? Srilata, Ashwini, what's the book that you are reading or that impacted you the most?
I will just get to a place where there's less sound and I'll talk.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Xavier, can you talk, or what's the book, or what is that you are reading which is kind of blows your mind? Anyone? Yuvraj, Sarang?
Yeah, I just
Xavier.
found a space. Found a space. One book that I read this like when I was 13, 14, kind of was it's a fiction book. It's called Foucault's Pendulum by Umberto Eco. He's a famous semiotician, and he was actually voted as the world's most second best greatest thinker of our times. So this is a fiction book. This is basically people have read Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code, right? They think that is the best conspiracy theory book, but this kind of eats that for breakfast. So this is very highly intellectual book, and the first 3 paragraphs of the book, like, it teaches a lot about how to write. Basically, it's an example of what a great piece of writing it is. It had concepts related to geology, maths, physics, geography, conspiracy theories, all rolled into one paragraph. I mean, if you can find the book, the first couple of paragraphs basically changed my life. I mean, I realized that there was a lot of things that I really don't know. There are things that we have to learn.
Yeah, Xavier, whenever you get to a place where you can comment on that LinkedIn thing, I think you should comment. I think this book seems to be an interesting one. Okay, this book seems to be an interesting one.
Yeah, okay. Once I get back home, I'll do that.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Vagisha, thank you. Sarang, thank you for putting in. Sukhwinder, thank you for putting that in. You can go to that particular page, refresh it. You will already see some of the people are already. Gaurav also has put in the book. Sorry, the movie. Gaurav has talked about it. KK, anything at all that shifted your thinking?
Yes, Joseph, I'm just writing. It's a little
Yeah,
longer.
yeah, sure, sure, sure. Yeah, yeah, sure,
It's
sure,
the
sure.
Tamil movie Surarai Putru based on Captain Gopinath's.
Yes, 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 yes.
I think
That's a good
that
one.
that
Yeah, yeah.
showed for your dreams there is no limit. I mean, technically speaking, the sky is the limit.
Wonderful, wonderful. Please put that in. We'll wait for it. Okay. Now, uh, this is already interesting. Okay. And anyone else? Nitin, do you have anything that you are reading now which is kind of blows your mind now?
Hi,
Or
Joseph.
Aman? Hey, hey,
Yeah,
hey.
hi, Joseph. Hi, Nitin here.
Hi, Nitin. Yes,
Thanks, Joseph. Firstly, for this wonderful information which you shared on the flywheel. And I've been thinking since last 5-7 minutes, okay, that how I should go about starting this journey of, because I feel, okay, so far I've been a consumer, but being a producer and increasing engagement is equally important to fuel the learning journey. Okay. Now back to the question which you asked. I wanted to share that of late, last couple of days, I spent reading Amazon shareholder newsletters. I've gone through the three
Okay.
letters in last couple of days, and thanks for the inspiration to you, Joseph, for referring me to those letters. I finished reading 3 only, but I'm already feeling wanting to read many more. Okay, that's so interesting, and I'm amazed to, or rather, I don't have words to describe that. Okay, back in 1997, how Jeff had
Yes.
such a clear clarity, okay, of how the future is going to be, and how he started to build the initial days of Amazon in terms of his thought process of going about the customers, wherein the customer at, and then focusing on the growth. Okay, not going for the short term things, but making his long term bets, which is what he highlights in all the points he listed in the 1997 shareholder. Amazing.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm amazed to
Absolutely.
read that letter.
Thanks, Nitin. Again, Nitin, I would appreciate if you can go to that LinkedIn page and then enter whatever that you talked about just now. Again, Nitin, whatever that you shared is very relevant. Of points. One, and I would encourage everybody to read Amazon's annual letters. If you don't have time, go to 1997, read only that, and you will be simply surprised. Like Nitin talked about, that is not an exaggeration at all. You will be surprised the clarity of thinking in 1997. He talks about personalization in 1997, when this was not even a word, it was not even known to the world. He's talking about that. But anyway, coming back to this particular point, again, you could get this inputs from anywhere. It could be books, movies. That's what we normally think. As Nitin shared, it could be annual letters. One of the most boring assets to read, probably. But if you really pick up some of the really finest annual letters, and one of the thing that I do also is Amazon annual letters and few other annual letters. Sonata in India is something that I like to read. Sonata software, and then few other annual letters I read, and they have such a clarity of mind that such simple words, you don't have to run to the dictionary or you don't have to be confused by the jargons. But coming back to the point is you have consumed, but now you are sharing. And I can already see, I used to think I read a lot, okay, to be honest. But I am already seeing anything that is mentioned here or nothing that is mentioned here, I have read. Phoenix Project, I have heard about it, but I have not read it. Magic of Thinking Big, not at all. So Kovinder, probably you should, on the Clubhouse, you should probably review this thing. And again, one thing by Gary that Sarang is saying, Made in China. Again, I have not seen that movie. Vagisha is talking about Shalimar the Clown. Again, I have not read that. So you can already see there is quite a bit of consumption that I can do now. I can pick and choose because people I consumed that Men of Honor. I went to a social media platform and I said, hey, this movie changed my thinking. And there's a lot of people are engaging there saying, this is the book, this is the book, this is the movie, this is the article. They're already engaging. That engagement is giving me even more assets for me to consume. So you can see that this flywheel is going on. So what I will do, so say for example, I might read Sarang's that recommendation, one thing, or Xavier and Vagisha is talking about a fiction, which I have not read at all, fiction books. I've watched a couple of movies, but not fiction books. Probably I will pick and choose that. And then I will produce, I will write an article of, how that book was. And then probably I will invite Xavier, hey, this is what I understand. Do you think this is what you understand? Right? And then there could be an engagement. And he can come up with, you know what, Joseph, that book is good. But you know what? I also happen to read this book, which is kind of similar or extending whatever that the other book is talking about, right? So then probably there's another one that I can have. So you can see that this flywheel will continue to grow. You need to only find out, okay, which book you have to read and where you have to share. So probably earlier I shared on my blog, and you can go to my blog and you can read all the books that I've read, but it was not open. It was not in an engaging manner. Now what I did, my consumption did not change. Men of Honor, probably it came about maybe 8 years back. What I did is only on the production side. So consume, that did not change. On the produce side, instead of writing or creating on my blog, I am creating on a social media platform where there is a community already. And that is leading to more engagement. Now, you can see that there is a consumption that has not changed. On the production, on the creation, I did a small bit of a fine tuning. Now you can see there is almost a lot of engagement that is bringing in that one small change on the production. Likewise, everything. Now let's say, for example, I go and engage. I go to Vagisha's post and say, hey, I have read a book like this. Probably you should read that. When I engage, that consumption is going to increase again. And by commenting, by engaging, I am producing again. That's going to increase even more engagement, right? So again, as I have showed you, and let's see a few other people have commented. And okay, so you can see here, Devang has already saying, like, I mean, Men of Honor, he has watched it. This is grid shown by the protagonist. Absolutely, Devang. This is a fantastic one. You can already see there is an engagement that is happening, right? So this is flywheel. We are talking about, okay, Tamil movie Surrai Pochu. I've heard about it. I have not watched it. Probably I will keep it. Okay, Pradeep. Okay, creative and answers, right? Again, you can already see there is quite a bit of movies, books that are all coming in, and we are already spinning this particular flywheel. This is flywheel in display, flywheel in motion. So I hope I have exhibited, I have shown how the flywheel works. You consumed something, you came to LinkedIn and posted something, and there is already Devang is engaging with my content. He's saying, yes, I like the grid. I didn't mention that. Grid as shown by the protagonist. Yes, this is good. Now there's going to be an engagement between Devang and me, and probably he will say, hey, you know what, Joseph, if you like this movie, probably you will also like this particular movie, because here also it is something like that, right? And that gives me even more assets to consume. So this is how you build the flywheel one after the other. Hey, Ramesh, thanks for joining in.
Oh, sorry, Jude, I'm late. I was winding up from the other meeting.
No problem. We are talking about the books that changed our thinking. If there is any book or a movie or an article which shaped your thinking, you can go to this LinkedIn page, which I have shared in the chat, and you can share it, and others will start engaging with it. Okay, thanks, Ramesh. And anyone else also?
I'm sorry. There is no link available in this chat. If you could, because since I joined last, if you could
Okay,
repaste
okay.
here, that will
I will
be
do
fine.
that. I will do that. I will do that.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yep,
I have
I
done
got
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Again, others also, like, Rajneesh, Srilata. Rajneesh, it could be on a technical angle also. Any other technical book or technical talk that you saw, it could, all is okay. Okay. Yuvraj, again, Joyce, all of you, I would encourage you to put in. The reason being, this is how you start building your flywheel. You have seen something, you have to produce. We all think, oh, I have nothing else to say. My language may not be good. We have so many different, inhibitions. I would encourage everybody to go there and put in. That is how you will start building your flywheel. And this, I want this community, these sessions to be a lot more engaging and interactive. So if you can put that in, that would be good. Okay, so let's go back to the deck that we were talking about. Now, so we said consume, produce, engage. So when we are consuming, we are holding one perspective. When we produce, we will almost always synthesize, or we will bring in our own viewpoint. This is why I like this particular book. This is why it resonated with me. After we produce, people will start engaging, and then this flywheel is coming in. Okay. But for this to continue to spin, you need an ecosystem. As we have seen here, the first thing is your own belief and discipline. Some of us might say, you know what, I have known everything. I don't have to learn anything at all. I used to be the first rank in my college. Why should I learn anything at all? So they don't even read any books or whatsoever. I've learned everything. Or I want to read. I have a whole bunch of books to read, whole bunch of things to write, but I don't have self-discipline to do it. So I'm not doing it. So that's those two things from the learner perspective. What the belief you have, do you have the belief of growth? Do you have the self-discipline to continue to create and continue to consume and also to engage? Then what are the tools that are available? Something like LinkedIn. When I started blogging, LinkedIn was not available. But now these tools are available and they are facilitative. They are not kind of paywall gardens. They are available. So they are facilitative also. Everybody can come in, they can join in for free, and they can engage, right? So the tools that are available. More importantly, there has to be a community. The community which is encouraging and forgiving. And that is my idea about Gravitas WINS community, where I want to build a community of learners who all will come in and share their viewpoints, engage with others in the community, share, and also sometimes encourage if others are feeling, okay, these things are not working out and so on and so forth, right? So you need an ecosystem, and that is what will keep the flywheel spinning and spinning and spinning. And I have been practicing this almost for 10 years now, and I can ascertain you, I can tell you with guarantee that it works. Even if you don't take my word, I hope I have exhibited, I've displayed that this flywheel works by all of you coming into LinkedIn and posting something, and then others engaging with your content, right? So far, do you have any questions, any comments? Before we go to the next flywheel, any questions at all about the flywheel?
So, Joseph, this is Krishna. May I audible?
Go ahead. Yes, KK. Go ahead.
So, in order to build a flywheel, right? So you said community is important. So, what if somebody doesn't have that support system, or they are trying to achieve something? Probably there is no existing community, but probably they need to build. Probably when you started this, you may not have got this community support or the community. So, how did you go about it?
So you're right, KK. When I started, the community wasn't existing. But again, there were friends and families. I shared with my sister, I shared it with my colleagues. Some of them liked it. Some of them may not read or comment on many of the things. Then one fine day they will come in and say, hey, these are the things that I learned. So if you go back to that Mimic Your Master video, the first community you can try is the community that is closer to you, your family and friends, your colleagues, ex-colleagues, your classmates. Just throw it on the wall and see where it sticks, right? Which is the community, who are the people who are resonating with you. But today, that was the case earlier, but today, there are a ton of communities that are available. There are communities available on Slack, there are communities available on LinkedIn, and so on and so forth. And Gravitas community is available here. So there are communities that are available. The thing there is the belief, the learner's belief that whether this community, whether I can engage, whether they will engage with me, that's one. And the discipline. Where it fails is discipline. And I'm going to let Abhinav, if he can comment on discipline, because he has talked about quite a bit on the discipline in few other places. Because you can have amazing insights, you might have the desire to do it, but if you don't have the discipline, it is not going to come through. Abhinav, do you want to share anything?
Sure, yeah. Actually, yes. So, but like I was doing the same thing like everybody does. So, like I used to attend a lot of conferences, webinars, used to talk a lot to other people because I was thinking that it will ultimately get me the eyes and focus that I could use actually to grow in my career. So the network did increase, but it was not actually giving any tangible value. So what I notice is that rather than just capturing the information from others, you have to share as well. So that is where the produce thing comes in the flywheels, and only producing, like thinking of that now I have just read a book, let's write a blog post. So it does not work like that. You have to share your experiences, make it a habit. Like in Gravitas WINS course, I made it a habit. We are using the accountability group that I need to write at least one blog post every week. So I continued on that for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and now I am writing like 2 to 3 blog posts every week. So I'm like, I was discussing with JJ initially when I joined earlier that I'm getting confused on which one to release first because I am having so much material to actually express. I just realized that I had so much learning in my life, but I never expressed it. And actually, I have forgotten those learnings. And now that I am writing that, I'm getting those refreshers, those recallings, like Phoenix project that I mentioned. So I got a recall of that because I was just going through what did I read 4 years back, 5 years back, and what did make me like inspire. So Phoenix project was something that inspired me, and I never wrote a post about it. I wrote a blog a summary about it and kept it to myself, never released and never shared it. So what's the value in that? So it's about discipline, and if you develop a discipline, like one example is I think JJ is going to copy that word from me, though I have applied a copyright on that. So I have scheduled like 15 minutes in my calendar for daily before bed, and it's called Read and Write. The fancy name is Raw. So JJ is going to buy the rights from me for that because I will have the trademark. I will make sure of that. And so that is something that I built on it, and I have completed 1.5 books already in last 4 weeks. I have written like 6 blog posts already that are with me, and I have released a few. So that is the kind of discipline that I have built just from those 15 minutes. But I have not kept it to only 15 minutes. I sometimes spend 40-45 minutes in fact, and sometimes I only spend 15 minutes. But 15 minutes is just that it gives me a win. That is what I learned. It is all in these small wins. You have to take that motivation forward. Yeah.
This is really awesome, Abhinav. Thanks for sharing your experience, right? So I'm one of the laziest fellow. Like I always wanted to do and never put in the come to practical. But whatever it is in my calendar, definitely I will honor that. So this is a great idea to be part of the calendar.
Thanks
I will
to
try
JJ.
and let you know. Probably you can share some of your writings with me, so I will see how.
Abhinav, what you can, that's a good point, Ramesh. And Ramesh is one of the finest human souls that I have met. Okay, he has helped me a lot.
It's other way
I'm
around.
happy to have you here. Abhinav, maybe you can share some of the blog posts that you have posted on the chat, so that Ramesh and others can take it. But also on the LinkedIn for this particular event, you can also share there as well, so that others can pick it up. Anyway, so let's go to so this is one flywheel, right? Learning flywheel, which is consume, produce, and engage. This is one flywheel. And as we have seen, this flywheel works. If you continue to, the only reason why this will not work is because either the ecosystem, the one that I talked about, which is surrounding it, either you are not disciplined enough, you are not sharing in a community which is encouraging and forgiving, and there are no tools that are available. But now, all of this can be overcome now, except for the learners stuff. That you will have to do it. As long as you are able to exercise that, this flywheel will work. Okay, so this is one. This is one flywheel. The next flywheel that I have, that I operate, is WINS. WINS is about, okay, I have an insight. So let's say, for example, I have an insight that you should invest in mid-cap companies so that the growth is high. Or I say you should invest in companies which give you dividends, not just growth, which gives you dividends, so you can earn an annual return. Every year you can earn certain kind of an amount. Or I say for example, if you put that like this and build a brand, your personal brand, that will help you to grow your career. So that's an insight that I have. Now that insight I share with the network, a community like all of you. Now what's going to happen? I have an insight, again, by reading, by producing, by engaging, I have that particular insight. I share it with all of you. What is going to lead? It's going to lead to a community, which is a network. It's going to lead to a network. So one leads to the other. When I share, what happens? My network increases. And as you all know, your network is your net worth. Your network, as your network increases, as it diversifies, it leads to wealth. Because your network is your net worth. It leads to wealth. I'm talking about wealth and not riches alone, not just money part of it, but it leads to wealth. It gives you new opportunities. It gives you new positions. It gives you more dollars, and so on and so forth. I have changed about 7 jobs, except one, which I went through a headhunter. Everything else is by referrals. And when you go by referrals, you can always demand more, or you can always demand as you wish. So it always leads to more wealth. So insights lead to network, diverse network, and more network means diverse and dense network, which because people trust you, it leads to wealth. That's okay, but you need to have self-control. That's the axle that makes this whole thing run, spin continuously. It is a Thursday evening, 7 o'clock, and all of you are here. I don't have the self-control to come here. I don't have the self-control to prepare a deck. I don't have the self-control to talk about all of these kinds of stuff. Now, that's it. Like, I mean, I might have the best of the insights. You all might be encouraging and forgiving community, but I will not be able to spin this particular flywheel if I lack self-control. So this is WINS: wealth, insights, network, and self-control. And this is again spinning. I've been spinning this. It works. Again, I can show, like, I mean, I can't demonstrate how it works now, but because in fact, part of it, you can see that it is working. Abhinav talked about discipline. So he shared his insight. This is what I did. This is how I am reaping my benefit. And now I didn't even write anything, but now I have 6 blog posts waiting to be published because I have written them. I put it up on calendar, 15 minutes. I sometimes take 45 minutes also. I'm okay because I'm in a flow. So he shared that insight. Now, Ramesh did not know Abhinav so far. Abhinav did not know Ramesh so far because he shared that insight in this community. Now Ramesh is saying, hey, can you share those kinds of things with me? Now they are in a network. Again, most of the guys here, like say for example, Joyce, she didn't know about Sumit, but Sumit would come in, he will summarize. So Joyce and Sumit became one network. Again, all of you, like KK, all of you, because you shared your insight, that forms a network. Who knows? Tomorrow Ramesh might have a job waiting for Abhinav, and Abhinav might go and join Ramesh. Or who knows? Abhinav, Joyce, and Ramesh might start a startup, and they can build wealth. That all can happen tomorrow. Why?
Discuss about
because yeah, I will get my commission. So When you share your insights with the network, your wealth automatically comes in. One leads to the other. The challenge here is it takes a long time to build up. It is not easy. It will give you frustrations, disappointment. Sometimes you may even want to give it off. I'll give you an example of stock market investing. I invested in one stock when it was at 20 rupees. And it stayed through 20 rupees, nothing, no movement at all. For I would say probably a year. I'll go check up. I knew the value was good. The fundamentals are good. It would just stay. And then it went to 22. Okay, so it is growing. Oh, fine. 20. And it would stay. My goodness, why is it not moving? You know what's the value today? It is 120 after 10 years. But for that build-up period, that short period, it is frustrating to watch. It just stays same throughout. But once that breakthrough happened, amazing, awesome, right? It's the same thing in every aspect as well. I have been doing this learning for ages, decades at least. But I have been able to put it through to spin this flywheel only now, in the last 2 years or so. So again, it will take a long time, but once it breaks through, the momentum runs faster and faster. Now I have a Gravitas WINS show like this. I have a newsletter. I have a podcast. Saturday we come on a clubhouse and we share book reviews. Now there is a lot more. My network is increasing. My wealth is also increasing. As long as I'm able to exhibit self-control, it will continue to grow. Okay? Now, the benefit of this flywheel is for each of these factors. So for insight, I told you, consume, produce, engage. That's the flywheel that I have for insights. I have such flywheel for each of the components. For network, there is a flywheel that I have. For wealth, I have. And for self-control also I have. Now, each of the gears, you think of these as one giant wheel and small gears that are rotating all the other components of it. Now, as I rotate those wheels, now this bigger wheel is going to come rotating in a much, much faster way. And that's how it happens. That's how it is. That's how the flywheels work. So each of these, if you can rotate, even small fine tuning is okay. As long as you can rotate that, the bigger one continues to rotate. So when I share an insight with the network and I change that network factors to a certain extent, maybe instead of just looking at LinkedIn, I might go to Twitter or I might call people and I'm only changing few things on the network and they will connect me to a bigger network, right? So likewise, for each of those things, wealth also, earning, then investing and protecting. If you can do that on a continuous basis, again, you spin multiple times, your whole thing, because that's going to bring you more network, not just on the wealth side. When you crank that particular gear, it's not just the wealth, but also on the network, it's going to bring in. So likewise, for each of that, that's the beauty of flywheel. For each of the factors, once you have stitched through, you can build a flywheel. It is even more, lot more powerful, okay? So I want to re-emphasize this. You need to understand when it's a flywheel, when we are talking about, it has to be a positive loop. One has to lead to the other. It cannot be other way around. It is not a serial, one linear way of working. One has to lead to the other. When you have insights, when you share with network, wealth will come. So one has to lead to the other. That's the difficulty in building the flywheel. You need to keep on fine-tuning it. If you do that, even an incremental effort on one of the factors will accelerate the flywheel with lot more compounding momentum. Because each of them, like as I said, each of these are gears. So it is going to accelerate. It's going to bring in even more positive momentum to the bigger flywheel. Okay? So the beauty of this flywheel is, if you really conceived it really well, it creates continuity. So I've been learning on a continuous basis for the last 10 years or so. But my interests also have changed. The movies that I watch, what I read, that has changed. I used to be not so much of a believer in networking, but I have become a lot more believer in networking, and I'm able to do that much more. So it brings in continuity, but it also brings change. So that's the beauty of Flywheel. When you keep on moving, it continues to move, your life increases, changes, and then there's a continuity, but also you are changing. The factors that you are talking about is changing. I'll give you this example. When I was the first 10 years of my career, my network consisted of purely software guys, Tamil Nadu guys, my age, all of them. It was all that. So when we sip coffee, what we will speak? Who will send us to abroad? Will TCS send, Tech Mahindra send, whatever that company, Infosys, who will send us abroad? That's all we will discuss, nothing else. For the first 10 years, that was it. But once I started learning and insight about networking and everything, I started diversifying my network. Now I have IAS officers, bureaucrats, I have movie directors, I have people like Mr. Kurana, who is a fantastic columnist and an established entrepreneur, and so on and so forth. When I have all of this, the ideas that come in, that has enriched my network, and I can continue to change, right? So there's a continuity of learning, but there's also a change. That's the beauty of Flywheel. And I teach all of this in Gravitas WINS course. Gravitas is all about competence. Gravitas is like gravity. It's a pull force for leaders. And how can you do it? Only by wins, by building flywheels. So this is what I teach in my Gravitas WINS course. Abhinav and then Kurana ji and Sukhvinder, Ashwini, they're all going through it. You can ask them. And I start the next batch this Sunday, 11th of July. It is for 12 weeks, 1 hour every Sunday. If you like Flywheel, if you want to build flywheels for your career, for your life, I would highly encourage you to check out this, and then you should join this particular course. Your life will change.
What is the
And
time that on Sunday? Sorry to pause.
5 to 6.
Evening, okay. That
works. Evening 5 to 6. Yeah, 5 to 6. Wonderful. So whether it is Sajal, the youngest person who joined my course, Mr. Kurana, Nitin who is here, all of them have benefited in one way or the other. And Abhinav also talked about how the accountability helps him in achieving whatever that he wanted to achieve. He is able to move forward further than he thought he could go, right? So again, this is what I'm building in Gravitas WINS community. I'm building a community which is encouraging and forgiving so that all of us can build a flywheel for our own life and go up in our career further than what we thought it is possible, okay? Please connect with me. I am on everywhere that you can think of, whether it is email, website, everywhere that you can think of. Please connect with me. Most of you are already connected with me. Whoever is new, please connect with me on all of these places and have a life of wins. Fantastic. So thank you. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Jude. This is really a great insight. So usually, I need to admit, this is the first time I'm pulling out from my work and attending other one. So this is really a great one. It's really interesting. And it is giving a hope that I can also spend some time apart from the work, right? So
yes.
Hopefully I will do it. I would like to join your Gravitas WINS as well. So I will talk to you later and I'll learn that how to register for that. The same.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, a suggestion for you. You asked about the topics that can be covered. So one topic is how to build a flywheel of self-control and how to build a flywheel of discipline.
Will do, but Mr. Kurana, that's part of the Gravitas WINS curriculum. But yeah, maybe I'll do that. You have already gone through it, but I can see how I can build it up on a public thing. I'll do that. I'll take note of it and I'll do that. Thanks, Kurana ji.
Thank you very much.
If you have not already subscribed to my newsletter, please go to jeju.com/subscribe. And every Wednesday, 10:15 in the morning, you will get a short email with topics like this. Whatever that I have learned and whatever that I have practiced, I will share it with you. And please subscribe to it and you will get benefit. Like I've been doing this for the last 10 years. As I said, consume, produce, engage, right? So I share all of these things. All of these videos are also sent to, or they are streamed to YouTube. So you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is here. And again, you can watch them also if you miss any of these things, okay?